I'm an executive job seeking coach. I work exclusively with high earners, so senior people, executive people, typically six-figure earners and similar, or very close to, and beyond. And we go right into Fortune 500, FTSE 100, and seven-figure territory. And I have one single aim. My life is very, very simple, and that is that I will help you get your ideal job, whatever you define that as, faster and for more money without you even having to sell yourself. And God, I'm so damn good at it. We come with a 100% money back guarantee. All right, that's the program I run, which I'm not here to shill for tonight, so you're not going to get a sales pitch. I'm just going to help you out. But I just wanted you to know that's what I do. That's who you're talking to. I've been in the recruitment marketplace, so I don't know, 15 years, digital marketing for 5. I smashed those two worlds together, created this program several years ago, and hundreds and hundreds of executives have been through the program now, including plenty of members of FANG. So those of you who don't know me, a lot of your FANG members are preceding you and have had tremendous success with this program. I just want to educate you a little bit, actually. Before I do, a temperature check in the room. If you find the chat box, everybody, how many people have heard me speak before? Give me a yes. And if you haven't, give me a new, so I know how many people have heard this before and how many people have not. Yuri's new, Sarah's new, David's new, Cedric's new, Barty's new, about half and half. Okay. So some of you are going to hear some of the things I've said before, but it won't be very long. David's new, Chunshu's new, Peter's new. Okay, perhaps a bit more new than yes. I'm going to say some things that I've said before because those things still are worth saying, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible. And then what I'm going to do is just give you some stuff, okay? And I'm going to share that with you. And that stuff, some of this stuff has not been given out before, all right? So everybody's going to get something new as a result of this, even if it's not 100% new for all of you, yeah? There have been some structural shifts in the job-seeking marketplace that I want to share with you. And this is going to provide you perhaps with a little bit of a game-changing insight into why it is you're struggling to get back in, all right? Why you're struggling to get back to work. Just out of interest, back in the chat box again, I presume this room is principally full of people who are looking for senior and executive roles. Yeah, just give me a yes if that's you. If you're like, yeah, you know, I'd like to get my next job, an ideal job. It's senior, it's executive. Just in case there's anybody who's wandered into the wrong room and wondered what the hell I'm talking about. Yeah, no, everybody's a yes, so fine, cool, all right. Most of you, and I'm looking around the Zoom here, most of you are ladies and gentlemen of a certain age. We've all got a little bit of grey hair. How doesn't time fly? We are the last generation to grow up without the internet, okay? We can all tell a tale of when there was no online. When if we wanted to buy something, we'd have to go down to the shops because that's all there was. There wasn't an online alternative. And we didn't have enough information about what we wanted to buy, so we ended up having to go inside the shop and speak to a sales assistant. And however benign and professional that process was, it was a sales process. That's how things got done, right? We were there, talked to them, getting the information about what we wanted, and at the end of that process, they'd try and sell us something, which is kind of what we went in there for anyway, so no big deal. However, zoom forward to where we are now, 21st century, post-internet era, all that. If you and I want to browse for stuff that we don't have full information on, we don't schlep down to the shopping mall anymore. We just jump straight online, all right? That's because all the information that was previously exclusive to a salesperson and whom we were dependent on in order to make our decisions, that's all now been transferred to the internet, yeah? Where we can access it for ourselves. So we don't need a salesperson anymore, yeah? Whatever it was you were buying, we can just pick on some examples, TVs and holidays. Some questions you might want to ask a sales assistant: how heavy a TV can you hang on a US wall, internal wall? Yeah, you just get an answer from that from Google, no problem there. What is the difference between LED and LCD? Yeah, that might be of importance to me. I don't know what the answer is. I just download a PDF on that. I don't need a salesperson anymore, right? Just stick my email address in and they'll send the PDF to me, right? If it was holidays, the things that's important to me, what's the sunny side of the hotel for my evening gin and tonic? I can just get all that stuff in the customer reviews. I don't need a salesperson anymore, all right? But if we make a decision about what we want to buy, yeah, if I found the TV I like, it's got all the functionality that I'm after, I've now got to decide where to buy it from. And that's when because you've been roaming around the internet, that's when you're going to get adverts down the side of your screen targeting you and with their marketing messages. All right. You might also be getting some marketing in your inbox as well if you've given up your email address in order to get that PDF. All right. Those adverts are going to say things like, click and collect, watch the big game this afternoon. And if that marketing message appeals to you, then you're probably going to be the customer who goes down to the warehouse that's got a small shop front attached to it, because that's what that kind of message says. All right. You're just going to go and get it immediately. It might say 2 years warranty instead of 12 months, which is standard, in which case you might go to the place that does that. Or it might say exclusive model to us, which it isn't. It's exactly a TV raft. All they've done is just change the trim around the outside. So yeah, theoretically, technically, they've got in on a technicality. It's exclusive to them, but basically it's the same TV. Plus they'll deliver it in a big branded truck, which they'll leave outside your house for the neighbours to see whilst they spend all morning installing it for you. And it turns out you're a crashing middle-class snob and bought it from a premium brand place. Fine, I won't tell. I'm not here to judge. But you now decided not just what you want to buy, but also where you're going to get it from, all right? And depending on what you're actually shopping for, it might not be a TV or a holiday, it could be anything. You can just bang your credit card details into the screen and it turns up in the post. Now, does everybody recognize that story, that things have shifted from you going into a store and speaking with a sales assistant to nowadays making your decisions online, and that it's shifted? Yeah, give me a yes in the chat box if that will make sense to you. Like, yeah, okay, I'm buying this so far, Johnny. I agree with you. Because the point of telling you this story is this: at no stage during that entire transaction did a salesperson even know you existed. Yeah? They had no idea you're online, no idea you were looking, no idea you were about to buy something. They had absolutely no ability to influence that transaction whatsoever. Didn't even know you existed. In fact, it is now no longer a sales process, okay? It's no longer a sales world, right? It's a buying process. It's a buyer's world. Now, I want to apply that analogy, that thinking, yeah, that strategic shift to job seeking, which is what you really want to learn about. I'm going to give you 3 things you can take away immediately and implement, okay? And the first thing to recognize is that when you're a job seeker, the hiring manager is the buyer. They're the one who's going to acquire your talents, your capabilities. They're the one that's going to go looking. So they're the one who's in the buying seat. You're the one who's trying to sell yourself at the moment. Hi, I'm great. Here's my CV. Possibly you've got a recruiter doing that on your behalf too. And the first thing I want you to pay attention to is this. The hiring manager is not used to having to run the gauntlet of a sales pitch anymore, right? They just don't do that. If they're in the mood to buy, they'll buy, okay? Until then, stop hassling them with those bloody emails of yours saying, hi, I'm great, CV attached, covering email, blah, blah, blah. They don't want it, right? It's just clogging up their inbox with stuff they didn't ask for, don't want, and is a waste of their time, right? There is a process at play, right? And the process at play is a buying process. And unless you're allowing the hiring manager to engage in a buying process, which is what they do for everything else, including TVs and holidays, you and me too, right? Then you're kind of swimming against the tide, which makes it much, much harder for the hiring manager to hire you, which obviously is counter to what you want to achieve, all right? So you've got to allow a buying process to take place and position yourself to be part of a buying process. That's the first big structural shift. Yeah, we don't really get sold anything anymore, do we? No, hardly anybody sells us anything anymore. We buy instead, and that's because we've got access to information. Second one, super big on this. Yeah, if I was a hiring manager, yeah, I no longer have to advertise my vacancy. All right, hiring managers can start their buying process up without declaring the vacancy at all. Okay, they could look online, they could look on a CV board, they could look on LinkedIn, which is huge, by the way. It's really coming to its own since Microsoft acquired it about 18 months ago. They put quite a bit of cash into it. LinkedIn has become a major player in the social media platforms right now. So if you're not leveraging LinkedIn, I've got a treat for you at the end of this. Yeah, they could look on LinkedIn, they could speak to their network offline, asking who they'd recommend, and they could do all of that without you even knowing they had a vacancy. They'd get to see several candidates, and if they like one of them, they'll hire them. And then they announce to the world that they've made a hire, and you're like, what do you mean you've hired someone? I didn't even know you had a vacancy. What the hell's going on there? I'll tell you what's going on there. It's called the hidden jobs market. It's not actually hidden. That's a bit of a misnomer. It's the unadvertised jobs market. And the more senior you are, the bigger percentage of your jobs market that is. And at a C-suite level, that's pretty much all of the jobs, all right? Virtually none of them are advertised. And at all of your levels, I would imagine there isn't a single person right now in this call for whom that share of your jobs market is less than 50%. I believe that more than 50% of all the vacancies that you're interested in are not advertised. Okay, think about that. All right. The buying process that the hiring manager is undertaking is behind the screen. You can't see it happen, right? So you didn't know there was a vacancy to sell yourself to. And if you want access to those vacancies, it's not going to be through a sales pitch, is it? Because you can't sell yourself to something you can't see. Yeah. You have to allow yourself to be bought by the hiring manager. All right. Only that way will you increase the size of the market available to you. Yeah, dramatically increase it, probably double it. Okay, that's a huge impact. So if you're stuck in sales mode, you're doing it to a much smaller share of the jobs market. When you get bought, much larger share of the jobs market can consider you. Very big deal, that. That's the second big structural shift in the job seeking marketplace. The third shift is a thing called buyer-seller integrity, and it underpins why these shifts are never going to be reversed. Okay, right. So if you're involved in a transaction and there's a salesperson involved as well, if the salesperson thinks that what they've got matches your needs 75% or better, then they'll probably take a swing at selling it to you, because that's what they do for a living. Yeah, they're a professional salesperson. It's how they make their money, right? However, if you remove the salesperson from the equation, as is the case online, where the salesperson didn't even know you existed, yeah, remember we talked about that with TVs and holidays? Actually, buyers don't get excited by a 75% match. Like, yeah, kind of does what I'm after. It's not exactly what I want. I'll keep looking. Actually, buyers get excited near a 95%. And that's when you get that ooh sound, like, ooh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. How much is that? And obviously, that's when the buying conversation surfaces. Yeah, someone's starting asking questions about price. There's a disconnect between those two numbers. 75% when salespeople are in charge of the transaction, 95% match to needs. When the buyer is in charge of the transaction, it's much higher quality. All right, and that's explained ever so simply. A thing called buyer-seller integrity. Salespeople are burdened with the responsibility of making money out of a transaction. So, of course, they need to lower the bar as much as they possibly can. I mean, without being ridiculous. If someone tried to sell you something that was only 50% matched to your needs, you just laugh at them. But at a 75% match to needs, some customers do start to open up their wallet, and that's when sales kicks up a gear. All right. However, on the buying side, buyers are not trying to make money out of a transaction. Actually, they're trying to solve a problem. So they want the bar to be set as high as possible. Yeah, completely opposite direction. And again, without being ridiculous, I think if you said, no, I'm not spending any money unless it's 100% perfect, you know what? That solution probably doesn't exist. But if you just flex a little bit and said, you know what, at a 95% match to needs, I'll pay, there's a reasonable expectation that that solution does exist. And so that's what buyers go looking for. And so the corollary to all this is just these things. If you want your ideal job, yeah, and you want it faster, then you've got to present a buying process, because it's the process the hiring manager wants to undertake, including you when you're in the hiring manager's seat, all right? It also dramatically increases the size of the jobs markets. That's the second thing. And the third thing is when the buyer buys, which is really important, when the buyer buys, they are much more discerning when the seller sells, including you when you're trying to sell yourself. So if you can position yourself properly, then they're only going to contact you if they perceive you to be a 95% match to the role, which is obviously when your interviews get a whole lot easier. Yeah, I know several of you will have experienced being in for an interview. You didn't get the job and you weren't that bothered by it because it didn't fit you properly anyway. We're not going to have any more of those. When the buyer's in charge, they're only going to call you in for stuff that fits really well, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Now, have I brought everyone with me on this one? Give me a yes in the chat box if you see that buying is what the hiring manager wants. Buying dramatically increases the size of the jobs market, and buying improves the quality of the interview you end up in. Yeah. If there's anybody who doesn't agree with me there or doesn't get it, then just give me a no in the chat box. Everybody else give me a yes, and I'll make sure we've carried everyone with us, because what I want to do now is just very quickly talk about how you get those done. I'm literally going to spend 5 minutes on this because there's an entire program for it. So yes, yes, yes. Everybody's saying yes there. Okay. At a very high level, getting bought, if you're like, okay, fine, I'll stop selling myself, Johnny, how do I get bought? Actually only breaks down into 2 areas, all right? First thing is you've got to be visible. I can't buy you if I can't see you, right? So, you've got to be super visible, all right? And the other thing you've got to be is compelling, Yeah, because you're not personally going to be present to influence a hiring manager's perception of you with some kind of sales pitch. Yeah, the hiring manager is looking at your LinkedIn profile or your CV or speaking to their network or whatever. You're not going to be personally present for any of that. So your marketing, your messaging has got to do all the heavy lifting, right? You've got to be compelling when you're found, and you've got to be very visible in order to get found. And for that, there is a hard-coded, systematic process. It's called the 7-step process, which I've observed after being in executive search for 15 years and in digital marketing for 5 years, and understanding exactly how really big industries like management consultancy, the legal industry, actually the financial practice industry, accounting. None of those industries have a room full of salespeople on the phone hassling prospects for business. Yeah, it doesn't happen that way. Accountants, lawyers, management consultants, it's all inbound. Yeah, all their inquiries are inbound. They don't have, an aircraft hangar full of phone jockeys giving it blah, 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 blah. That doesn't happen. So I've studied those industries and I've worked out how is it they attract the potential clients to them. And of course, I was in executive search for 15 years. I was an award winner in both of those industries. But what I wanted to know is, can you boil that down to a one-person size process so that you can attract your ideal employer to you, including all the ones you can't see? And it turns out you can. And several years ago, I created that program, and it's been going gangbusters ever since. It's amazing. So there you go. That's hopefully been some insight for you, some use that you think, yeah, do you know what? I get that now. There's a whole big market there that I'm missing because I'm trying to sell myself. There's a process at play there that I'm not using, which is counter to what the hiring manager wants. And the quality of what I get is all a bit, you know what? Because actually, I'm a bit more flexible than the hiring manager would be. And I'm happy to consider a vacancy that's a bit further away, a bit less well paid, not quite in my sweet spot, because, I'm a senior person. I can probably do it without embarrassing myself, but it's not ideal. That's all because you're in sales mode rather than allowing the hiring manager to come to you. And that's because you didn't know, that was a possibility, but also you have to be visible and compelling to make that work, which is, a whole other thing. Which we have a program for. Has anybody got any questions about that? Any thoughts, concerns, or stuff like that? Because otherwise, I'm going to give away some freebies in a minute. If you've got something, stick in the chat box, or just unmute yourself and shout out. I'm here to just answer whatever questions you got. I want to help out. Stunned silence.
Feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions.
No, you're all happy with that? Cool. Okay, so listen, what I've got is, I've got two things. Firstly, I mentioned earlier on LinkedIn is going to be, or is a big deal, particularly in the job-seeking marketplace, in a way that it just hasn't been in the last, 15, 20 years. The last 18 months, it's really come into its own. It's a very big deal right now. And most people's LinkedIn profiles are not remotely optimized, okay? And so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to run a masterclass for it, and I'm just going to put that in there. So I've just done a link to everybody. There's a masterclass on the 23rd of September. It'll be in the afternoon in the UK, so it'll catch you on the East Coast your morning, so you won't have to wake up super early or anything. Catch you at breakfast time. And that's a masterclass on LinkedIn. It's completely free, all right? And I'm going to run through the 3 big pillars of what a successful LinkedIn profile is, which will be, spoiler alert, it's going to be keyword optimization of your profile body. It's going to be content, which you need to produce and aren't. And it's going to be how to grow your network, which has become a lot harder in the last few months when the number of invites you can send out was crushed from 100 to 10. Obviously, I'm a marketer. My job is to work around that. And we found 4 ways of beating that. So I'm going to share all that stuff with you on the masterclass so you can have an optimized profile with some compelling content and a network that continues to grow well. By the way, you can check out my profile. The link was up there earlier. I did a post today with some free training on how to do comments on LinkedIn really well. There's no opt-in for that. You literally just go to the post, like and comment on the post, and someone will send you a link. Someone from my team will send you a link to that training straight to your direct messages, all right? So no email address required. And that will change things for you alone, all right? That will get you more visibility and make you more compelling to a hiring manager, just doing that alone. It's a 13-minute video. You'll consume it in a heartbeat. So that LinkedIn Masterclass is on the 23rd. When you sign up for that masterclass, you'll get a second email that says, would you like to win your own LinkedIn profile optimized for executive job seekers completely free? I have a program for that. It's about, it's not about, it's £395, which is just over $500. So it's, it's not a small thing. That's about $550 worth of LinkedIn optimization. And that's everything, right? Not just the profile, but content. There's a whole how-to program with videos, templates, PDFs, examples, everything, along with access to me. You can win that, right? And all you need to do to win it is share your personal invite link to the masterclass with anybody else who's a job seeker who might find it valuable, all right? And the more people you invite to the masterclass, which is completely free, by the way, the more entries we'll put into the hat for you to win your own LinkedIn executive optimization, all right? And that's a hugely valuable prize, all right? So LinkedIn Masterclass, 23rd of September. At the end of it, I'm going to say, would anybody like this for themselves? It's $550, except one person's going to win it for free, and I'll announce their name on the masterclass that very day. So you'll all get to hear it publicly. So that's one thing I'm going to do. The other thing I want to do is, I said I was going to run no more of them, but I've been begged to do it. And so let's just see if I can get that link there. I can. Let's just... That's in the box as well. I do a 5-day, it isn't all day, by the way, but a 5-day executive job seeking accelerator. And I'm going to do one, which I said I wasn't going to do any more of. So this is super rare. I'm going to do one on the 27th of September. So on the Monday, the 27th. And what happens is every day I release a video with a task for you to complete, which is not complicated. It's a little bit, like the day one will take you about 10 seconds to do. Day 2 will take you about 5 minutes to do. Day 3 will be about 15 minutes. Day 4, your head will explode. Day 5, it will become a little bit easier again. So, but we release those tasks in the morning. You do them during the day. I check in with you at lunchtime to see how you're doing. And then in the evening, I do these monster 1 hour long Q&A sessions where I just answer any question you like. And again, that's completely free, all right? There's so much value given away in those. Several of you will have been on them, right? I would imagine, I know Laura has. Bob,
I've been on that.
Bob, have you been on an accelerator before?
It's very valuable.
Yeah, very valuable. Bob's given thumbs up. Laura's saying very, come to the accelerator. For a free coaching is mind-blowingly good. And I'm not patting myself on the back saying that. We've run this half a dozen times with several hundred people on each one, so we're probably over 1,000 people without doubt now. And we always get massive, great feedback saying that was unbelievable for free. How the hell did you do that? That's because I don't need to make the money, so I'm happy to jack the bar up really, really high because it scares the crap out of my competition when I set the bar that high for free. And that just means that you'll get a real deep insight into how good this program that I run is and why it has a 100% money back guarantee. And then for those of you who want to continue to work with me afterwards on the paid program, you can choose to do so. And if you don't, you don't. That's fine. At the end of the week, you just take what you've got and run. I'm cool with that. So 2 things. LinkedIn Masterclass on the 23rd with an opportunity to win your own LinkedIn profile optimized permanently. And then on the Monday, we're going to start the 5-day accelerator off. Yeah, so there you go. A couple of things that will just help you all out completely gratis. If you've been on the accelerator before, I do talk about the paid program, but it's not a big, heavy sales pitch because, quite frankly, you're all grown-ups and I'll treat you like that. And not everybody wants to continue to work with me because it's one of those programs where, because it's completely de-risked, the only thing that can go wrong is if you don't implement it. And not everyone wants that taken away. There's some comfort in saying, oh, the market conditions are tough or some other circumstances, and that's the reason why I don't have my job. Yeah, but if I take all that away and say, this is guaranteed, do the work, get the result, I'll back you, suddenly it's all on you. And not everybody's up for that kind of responsibility. So I get that, that's okay. I'm not here to judge at all. So at the end of that 5-day accelerator, if you choose not to continue to work with me, that's absolutely fine. Not everybody will, but some of you will, which is why we give away tremendous amounts of value, so you know exactly why you're doing it. All right, so it's a sort of almost like a try before you buy. You get a ton of value out of that. Cool. Any questions, thoughts, concerns, stuff? Because we're coming up on the half-hour mark. I've been chatting for about 20 odd minutes now. Over to you guys. What do you want from me? How can I help you?
Feel free to unmute yourself, and if you're really shy, you can send me a message in the chat, or you can write it to everyone and I'll ask for you. But this is your opportunity to practice being on Zoom because you'll have to do this on an interview.
Johnny, hi, it's Yuri. How are you?
Hey, Yuri, I'm good.
So I have a question, as I'm thinking through is the optimization part of the LinkedIn, right? The very basic, start, if you will. And you're talking about optimizing people's LinkedIn. Great, love it. Understand why that's important. But even if we're all higher level executives, if you will, and we're all, I assume most of us are in the finance field in one way or another. It's a wide range of jobs and interests that we're all pursuing.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how do you help someone that's, in risk, in M&A, and then someone like in nonprofit and someone else that's in compliance? Like I said, I'm just wondering, how do you help everybody optimize their LinkedIn?
Because what I don't do is write the content for you, because that is very specific to you, your careers, your jobs, your experiences, your achievements. I can't possibly write for you. There is no one size fits all answer to your personal career. Of course there isn't. But what there is structure, which is common to everybody. So you can put your content on my structure, along with the growth of the network, along with the growth, along with the content which you've produced, plus your profile. So, in that regard, it's a bit like, I don't know, I was trying to think, football coaching, I know, I'm talking about American football now. Your football in your country is a huge, huge sport. The general principles of the game don't change, right? All football teams have got the same goals, offense, defense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. However, you do tweak it a little bit for the opposition you play week in, week out. And so that's your job, is to bring that content to bear. My job is to give you the structure. All right. So, the keyword optimization for your profile will be different for David's, as it is for Chin, as it is for Laura. They're all going to be different. Of course, they will be. Does that answer your question?
So I mean, I think so. What I'm hearing you say is that it's not about as much maybe keyword optimization, which may be specific to each individual and each specific practice, if you will. It's more of a structure optimization. Is that right?
No, it's both, but the keywords for you will be different to the keywords for somebody else. But the structure will show you how to identify your keywords for you. So it's both, but I can't give you the actual keywords. I can just show you how to get them for you.
I see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, fair enough.
Otherwise we just have a load of identikit LinkedIn profiles, and that doesn't serve anyone.
Right.
It has to be customized for you. I'll show you how to do that. It's not complicated, but you just don't know how yet, that's all. I got another one here, Barty, saying, what is an effective networking approach outside your network on LinkedIn? Barty, we're not a massive fan of the sales thing, the cold calling thing, the cold outreach thing. It's a bit spammy, it's a bit icky, and you're all very senior people. You shouldn't be having to behave like that. So I prefer to do several different things. One is to produce content on LinkedIn which is relevant to your marketplace, and allow those people to consume your content and choose to connect with you. It's a much more powerful connection if they pick you rather than you pick them. We do a network growth exercise where you can do some searching on LinkedIn to find out people who are relevant to you. And there is a message there that we've crafted. I'm a trained copywriter, and I've worked with someone who's blisteringly good, way better than I am, to craft a message which has got a much higher acceptance rate than the standard one. Standard acceptance rate is about 10%. We get it between 30 and 50%, depending on your marketplace. For you guys in finance, it tends to be around the 35% mark, because you are relatively conservative as an industry. But anywhere around 35% is huge for LinkedIn. They're like, wow, you're getting 3 times as many acceptances for your invite requests as everybody else. So we're happy to allow that network growth to continue and to punch up your content out there. So there is an effective networking approach for people who you've never met or spoken to. One is around content, and one is around this very skillfully crafted message, which we created about 2.5 years ago now. It still hasn't been beaten, all right? Because at the end of the day, human beings are human, and they respond to the same copy, as they always have done. It's a, it's a magical piece of kit, which isn't about you actually, Barty. We're big on a thing called empathy in my business, which is all about seeing the world through the other person's eyes. That's all empathy means. And if you can look at the world through the person's eyes that you're trying to connect with and give them something that's much more relevant to them, they're much more likely to say yes. I study a piece of work by a man called Cialdini called Influence, and he talks about the law of reciprocity in there. So we put that into the copywriting. So there's this wonderful little script there, which you can absolutely use. I'll probably go through that on the 5-day accelerator, because it's a brilliant exercise. Cool, nice questions, guys. Yuri, thank you for that. Barty, thank you for that. Anybody else who's got something while I'm in the mood?
Any other questions, anyone? Please feel free to ask. You can unmute yourself. Johnny, maybe you can speak a little bit about the elevator pitch, about the 5 Ps. Is that possible?
Yeah, I can do. We had one earlier. Now, who was that who had a really nifty?
Bob.
Bob. Bob, do you want to unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay.
How are you?
Not really, Johnny, no, but so Bob knows this, all right. So let's see how much of it's stuck. I'm really throwing Bob under the bus now. There is a 5P formula for how you articulate your elevator message. This came out of a white paper that the former global head of HR at Google wrote, a man called Laszlo Bock. He now runs a company called Humanu or something like that. So what happens when you make a ton of money being a C-suite executive at Google is you then go and do whatever the hell you like with the rest of your life. But about half a dozen years ago, he wrote this white paper about Google's hiring practices and how they, quite frankly, they weren't that much better than everybody else's, despite the fact they were Google, which kind of pissed him off. So he did what Google do best, and he treated the whole thing like a data exercise and chopped all the CVs up into their component parts, flung them into a data hopper, analyzed them, and then, bless him, published the results. And I am an absolute freak for data. And so I consume that up like dessert with a spoon. Now he was helping out the hiring managers, and I help out you guys, which are the job seekers. So we had to reverse engineer that data. It took a little bit of work, but it was not that difficult to analyze. The message was very, very clear. And the message is this: you are hopeless at articulating the benefit of yourselves to an employer, and are amazingly detailed about the process of how you do it. Hello there, my name's Bob, and I do this. I manage people and widgets and budgets and blah, 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 and just bore the shit out of people. Whereas the benefit to you of doing all those things, or the benefit to the employer of you doing all those things, is absent from your elevator pitch. So we reverse engineered all the data and came up with a 5P formula. Bob's got 4 of them in his elevator pitch already. So what's your elevator pitch, Bob?
I help CEOs at institutional investment managers optimize operations risk compliance, often through effective automation.
Cool. So I help somebody, a person, that's the first P, at a place. In Bob's case, the CEO was the person and institutional investment managers was the place. Achieve a purpose, which was mitigating risk. Was it operational risk, did you say, Bob?
Full company risk, actually. Yeah. I do market risk, operational risk, compliance risk.
Yeah, market risk and compliance risk is what I would call regulatory risk. Yeah, just love that. So I help the CEOs and institutional asset managers mitigate regulatory risk. That's the purpose. As measured by an unknown number, because Bob was too shy to stick that on his formula, by doing a process which is automating process. That's how you do it. So those 5 Ps, I help a person at a place achieve a purpose as measured by a performance, which is a quantity, by doing a process. Those 5 Ps cannot be beaten as an elevator pitch, because that's all about what the person you're talking to is buying and nothing about what you're selling. And you notice that last piece at the end, the process piece that Bob's got, which is, what's the last bit of your sentence? By automating something?
Often through effective automation.
Yeah, often through effective automation. If you take that out of context, those few words there, you have no idea what Bob does for a living. You know, often through effective automation could be anything, and that process piece is the least valuable. And it's the time where that's the piece where you spend all your time and effort on your CVs, and when you meet people and you bore them shit about how you do your job, they don't care. You know what they care about? What's in it for them and how much is in it for them. And so you've got to put that up front, yeah, which is the purpose and the performance. So we're going to give Bob 8 out of 10. And as soon as he gets those performance numbers in, then in terms of, let's talk about the amount of regulatory risk that's less now that Bob's done his magic compared to previous times, then we're away, yeah?
Yeah, it is a difficult area to measure, though. It's not like I created a couple billion in extra sales or cut costs. You know, I'm cutting expected losses, I guess.
No, it isn't, Bob. No, you didn't listen to my risk speech, did you?
No.
No. Let's get Bob up from 8 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 right now. What's the best risk number in the world?
0.
0. Leora's got it.
0. Got it.
You know, you want to reduce or mitigate risk to 0, don't you? So you want to get as close to 0 as you can. All right. Certainly, it makes it much easier. All right. I help mitigate regulatory risk across, regulatory market risk to down from N breaches to, 1/10 of N breaches. Yeah? That's it. There's nothing complicated about that. You know, I imagine institutional asset managers occasionally breach market risk limits.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Depends on the on their environment, but yeah.
Yep. Depends on how fast and loose they are. But if you can reduce that by a quantity, a percentage, so they breached it 10 times last year, then you breached it 1 on my watch. We know that's a 90% reduction, and 1 is very close to 0, and that number looks pretty sexy to me from a market risk or regulatory breach perspective. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to name who the employer was that you did that with. All right. That's not what they're interested in. They're interested in what you can do for them. All right. But I can reduce your market risk or regulatory market risk breaches by 90%. Down to 1 per year or whatever the numbers actually turn out to be. Quantifying that wasn't that difficult.
Okay.
So Johnny, I put the 5 Ps in the chat for everyone to take a look at.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
I'm going to put Johnny's contact information and repeat all of his links.
I help person, place, purpose, performance, process. Yeah, it's all in there. And there's an active verb related to purpose. If it's about cost, then the verb's going to be like things like reduce, make less. If it's going to be revenue, it's about increase, grow. If it's about risk, it's normally mitigate. Yeah, but you're all smart people. You can work out how to talk about risk, revenue, and cost. Right. Peter's got a question here. Can I please elaborate more on the content of the Accelerator programs? What is beyond LinkedIn and what maybe? Yeah, Peter, the 5-day Accelerator covers 2 of the 7 steps on the program, which is positioning. What is your ideal job? How do you work out what that is? And messaging. How do you articulate it in a compelling way? And actually, at the end of the week, you'll end up with your own 5P statement, which you can put on your executive summary. Of your CV. You can put it on your LinkedIn banner. You can put it on your LinkedIn headline, and of course, it will come out of your mouth. Anytime somebody says, "Love to meet you, Peter, what do you do?" You'll have that elevator pitch ready to go. So at the end of the week, that's what you'll achieve. You'll have a clarity, complete and utter clarity about what your ideal job is really, and how to articulate that in such a way that the hiring manager recognizes themselves in that statement and says, that's me. I'm a CEO. I work at an institutional asset manager. I have a regulatory risk problem I want to solve, and at that scale, I want to get Bob in. Who the hell's Bob? Let's get him in. That could be an interesting conversation. And before you know it, you become much, much more attractive to our hiring manager. Yeah. So that's what we're going to try and get done on the Accelerator. There are 5 other steps around CVs, around LinkedIn, around personal networks, around choosing your next boss. That's all in the paid program. But at the end of the Accelerator, you will have clarity about what your ideal job is and ability to say it with your own 5P statement, which you can put in those 4 places. All right. So it's quite quite a powerful program, as colleagues of yours that have been to it already will testify. So let me bang on about how fabulous it is. I'm sure they can all tell you. Yeah. Cool.
You
That's
really
it, guys.
realize your value at the end. You realize that you are more valuable than you thought to a company.
Yeah, I think once we get you
But-
focused on what your ideal job is, you'll feel a lot more confident. You're like, do you know what? Damn it, I did do that stuff. Now I can articulate it well. I feel happy about going out to the market and going, damn it, I'm a senior person. I want this, and I think that's huge. Right? I think everybody, as I say, we get rave reviews about it, so I won't bore you to death about that. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll wrap it up, guys, because it's 10 to 11 at night here.
Any other questions? This is your opportunity. And also your opportunity to practice being on Zoom speaking. So please feel free to unmute yourself and ask any questions. Again, if you're very shy, you can put it in the chat for me and I'll ask for you.
Hey, Johnny, I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but let me just throw one more question out to you, if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's a LinkedIn question. You kind of touched on this a little bit when you said, you kind of put up your post, and so people see you, so you're active, maybe you're talking about your industry, what have you. My question's not very complicated, but one I don't know the answer to exactly. But if I put out a post, who sees that post? Is it just my contacts and my groups, or is it just my contacts without the groups, or the whole world, or who sees that?
Okay, it's 10% of your first level connections. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. And depending on what happens next, the algorithm will respond accordingly. So if you put a post out and you get no likes, no comments, and basically the engagement of your post is like tumbleweed, that's it. The distribution of your post dies a death right there. It's over. However, if you get engagement, people like it, people comment on it more particularly, and it appears as though what you said was of relevance and an importance and is getting people to engage, then the algorithm will reward you with a bigger distribution push, okay? And what happens is those people who comment on your post, their networks, which may not be your network, get alerted to the fact that, hey, Yuri's just commented on a post on LinkedIn, and has he now? What the hell is he commenting on? Commenting on some bloke's post that I've never heard of, and now your post is getting visibility amongst the people who are commenting their networks, yeah? So there is a bit of an art to gaming the algorithm. And by the way, no one, including me, knows exactly how the algorithm on LinkedIn works. It's not possible to know because it's machine learning. It's a dynamic algorithm, so it learns on the fly. So even if I understood it all completely today, it'll learn a load of stuff overnight, and by tomorrow morning, my knowledge will be obsolete. So if anybody says I can tell you how the algorithm works, it's a blatant lie. No one does. It's not possible to know. But there are certain things that we've tested over time that we know are true, even if it's not the whole story. And the truth is that your posts are measured for relevancy and engagement. And if it doesn't have either of those two things, then your distribution of that post dies. However, if it picks up both of those, then you're away. And so there's ways that, so for example, you'll find that a PDF, yeah, put half a dozen pages of PDF together and put that as an attachment on. Because it takes people longer to consume the PDF before they decide whether or not to comment or not, that is considered to be engagement. It's a thing called dwell time. I won't get into the details of this right now, but people take longer to consume a PDF, and the algorithm's watching how long they spent on your post, and they'll go, oh, clearly not just blowing Yuri's post off, they've stuck around for a little bit on that one, even if they didn't like or comment on it. Yeah, all right, we'll give Yuri a little bit of a boost, all right? If you can get some comments going, which is why you see those very lame LinkedIn posts saying something controversial with the word agree underneath it, what they're doing is provoking you to comment underneath, yeah? Because if you get that engagement underneath your post, then it gets a bigger distribution boost, and there are more people who see it, and more people engage and become self-fulfilling. So that's how you get virality going. So yeah, but your starting point is 10% of your first level connections, and then the algorithm will just watch what happens then and decide whether or not you're worthy of a distribution boost or not.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Feel free to ask more questions. This is your opportunity. You have an executive job coach here. This is a rare opportunity to ask any questions you like. Johnny's been on both sides of the table, so he can tell you as a hiring manager, as a recruiter, as a job coach.
So I think to expand on Yuri's question, brought up a question that I have. Does adding those little hashtag keywords at the end of your post, does that do anything?
Yes,
It does.
it does. LinkedIn have faffed around with hashtags over the last 12 months to try and work out what optimal is. Right now, the optimum number of hashtags to have on a post is 3. Okay, so more than that, and you're kind of looking like a spammer. Less than that, and you're missing an opportunity. So 3 is a good number. For now, that will change again as they dick around with the algorithm. It went up to 9 about 6 months ago, and it's back down to 3 again. Hashtags, and what hashtags do is not so much in terms of your initial push, right? Because that goes out to 10% of your first level connections, regardless of what hashtag you use. But if I then go on and search for posts that have that hashtag on, you will come up in my search. So that's not necessarily going to happen immediately, because the chances of me searching for your post at exactly the same time as you publish it is pretty slim. But it's got what you call a long tail effect. Yeah. So tomorrow, the day after that, people will go looking for that kind of stuff. You'll come up in it. Yeah. So if you're a hiring manager and you're looking for someone who's got institutional asset management risk mitigation, particularly around market risk, I'm probably going to use things like asset management or funds management and market risk. I'm going to bang that stuff in there. I haven't looked, but I bet you the market risk hashtag's pretty well followed. And so you might want to hashtag market risk, and then you're picking up people who are looking for that content. Yeah.
Hi, Johnny. As a hiring manager, what were some of the traits that stood out in a candidate for you during an interview?
Look, you all know what it's like. You're all senior people. When you're hiring people, it's not like you didn't have enough to do today already, without having this extra job on of having to interview, sift through CVs, decide who you want to interview, set aside type interview, do feedback, talk with your colleagues, and all of that. It's just an interruption day. So what I'm looking for is a person who can make that process as easy as possible for me. Yeah. So a candidate who can give me what I want for without me having to go look for it, taking the friction out for me, taking the hard work out for me, doing all the heavy lifting themselves. I like those people, right? So those people who can see the world from my eyes. So rather than chuck their entire career up, do a career vomit and go, there you go, pick through that and decide what you like. No thanks. Instead of that, they picked on one thing. They picked on a particular problem they can solve, and they've served that up. And if that's the thing I want today, my life's made a lot easier. So they got a level of specialism or specificity about their career. And they've looked at things like, so what is it you do, Barty?
I'm actually a consultant at Accenture.
Okay, but in what area?
In finance.
Yeah, no, I get that specifically.
Finance transformation. If I use the 3P model, I help CFOs transform their finance function and reduce their finance cost by about 20 to 30% through organization and digital levers.
So finance function cost reduction, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, cool. Making the finance function run leaner, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, you can tell me you've got 10 years experience, you've got an ACA, that you've got, Accenture brand on your CV, you've got transformation knowledge, you've got stakeholder management capabilities, blah, 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 blah. That's every fucking person who's going to interview for the job today, Barty. That doesn't help me one iota to decide whether or not you can help me. The minute you say, I can help you reduce your finance function cost by up to 20%, I'm like, that's the problem I've got. My finance function's too expensive. Yeah, we're running fat, and I want to make it leaner. That makes my life easier, because now I can decide whether or not you're someone who's just going to, muck you about with widgets, or whether you're actually going to help me get something done. All right. So that purpose and that performance, cost reduction being the purpose, 20% being the performance, that is gold for me as a hiring manager. Right there and then, I can start to differentiate between other people who've got the same level of knowledge of you, same skills, they're just applying it in a different area. Yeah. Some of them are going to be doing risk mitigation. A few of them, I might have a more commercial bent and a help to grow revenues. I don't care about those people. That's not my problem today. All right. But you've all got 10 years knowledge. You've all worked at Accenture. You're all ACA. How the hell do I choose which one for interview? Help me out here. Don't talk about yourself. Talk about me, my problem, and the scale of my problem. If that matches what I'm looking for today, I'll snap you up tomorrow. All right.
Makes sense.
Any other questions?
Does that answer, Barty, by the way? Does that get you where you want to be?
You did, absolutely. That was very precise. Thank you so much.
I do recommend to everybody the 5-day Accelerator course. I took it. You really find out your value. You really know how to make a statement after that. You find out the percentages. You find out really how valuable you were to your previous employees. So I really do suggest that everyone take that, and it is free.
Cool. I've never done the LinkedIn.
So any other questions? Again, you're free to put it in the chat if you don't want to.
Yeah, I've never done the LinkedIn Masterclass.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Johnny.
Publicly. My Inside Edge group get access to all that stuff because they're paid members, but this is the first time you get access to this quality of Masterclass ever for free, all right? So I urge you to do that, because I might not do it again, because we are sailing very, very close to the content that's been paid for by other people, all right? I mean, they get a whole other program with all the rest of it as well, so lifting one bit out is probably not going to get me to too much trouble, but this isn't the usual fluffy nonsense. This is going to be hardcore. You can go away from that LinkedIn Masterclass with a ton of stuff that you can implement, all right? And you might even win the entire shebang, all right? So I'm just getting generous in my old age. There you go. So come to the Masterclass and come to the 5-day Accelerator, all right? You'll get a ton of value there. Right, guys, it's 1 minute to 11, so I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you for having me, all right? It's been an absolute treat. I've answered some good questions. So I appreciate your engagement on that. The one big fear that anybody who speaks for a living has is an audience that's like tumbleweed. So you've all been really engaging on that one, and that's big for me. So thank you. And if you've got anything else you want to ask,
Lonnie, there's another question.
Oh yeah, go on.
Someone's asking, so both of the 2 master classes on 9/23 and 9/29 are free.
Mm-hmm.
September 23rd and September 29th are free. Both
Yes.
master classes. Okay.
Yeah. So
And they receive a book with that, right? Also, don't they receive an ebook?
They will get one. That's one of the things I try and reveal at the time, but that's all right. We'll let that one out now. I've written the playbook. In fact, I'm on iteration 2 of that, Leora. You haven't even seen that yet. It's brand new. A playbook on how to get your ideal job, and it goes from start to working out what that is, all the way through to post-offer and acceptance and all the minor risks and everything in between. CV, LinkedIn, personal networking, recruiters, everything. It's pure gold. And if you sign up for the 5-day Accelerator, everybody gets a copy of that. All right? It's a really powerful book. But there you go.
So I'll have to sign up. I want to get the new one.
Reach out to Alina on my team, Leora, all right? And we'll whiz you out an advanced copy.
Thank you.
Right.
Any other questions? This is it. It's 11 o'clock in the UK for Johnny. So this is your last opportunity, unless you're taking the Accelerator class, which I really do recommend. You see, Bob even came back to listen more to Johnny after the class.
Yeah. Okay, cool. In that case, love you, Lily.
Johnny, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. We look forward to having you back again.
Yeah,
And thank you for all the information.
Was one question. There was somebody from another group in Texas, I think you said.
Yes,
are they in
I told
the room?
you. Jeff Morris is on, and I wanted him to hear you as well.
Okay, cool. Jeff, without dropping you in it too much, but does this get you what you wanted? Do you find out what you wanted from today? Do you like, yeah, I've got a flavour for who Johnny is and whether he's useful or not, or is there something else that you need from me? No?
I think so. If you don't mind, if I can share with him your book, your ebook, would that help? Would that be okay with you? Okay.
Yeah, sure. But wait until you get iteration 2, though. All right. The new one's quite slick.
Okay.
All right. We're getting lots of thank yous from everybody, so that's really Barty and Michael and Jim and Stephen and Yuri and Cedric and Peter. Thank you, guys. It's always nice to be appreciated, so I appreciate that.
I just want, Johnny, I just want to say that Johnny is going to appear in our Chicago chapter on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So if anybody wants to catch Johnny again,
yeah,
let's look for that.
Chicago, we're in Europe, we're on the Eastern Seaboard. I think we've got far south is Georgia. And Chicago is pretty far north, right? I don't think there's much.
I've recommended Johnny Yes, I've recommended Johnny nationwide, also in Europe. He's already appeared in his own UK Fang group, and also I think we have France and Germany coming up at some point too.
I've already done the thing for them, I think.
Oh,
Wow.
you have a great. So you're welcome to join any of them. Once you're
Yeah.
a Fang member, you can join any of these chapters, especially as we're on Zoom now. So you can join and listen to Johnny again. You always learn some new pearls of wisdom.
Yeah, and look, if there's specific things that you want to get into, like, you know, what's a world-class executive CV look like, or you know, how do I do networking with my peers because I feel a bit awkward tapping them up when I've been out of work for a while, or whatever. Just, you know, if there's a subject that collectively you're going to get a lot of you know, support for me, you know, just drag me back in. And I like
Maybe we
helping.
can do one about the CV.
Yeah, I really don't mind. I like helping people. We're tremendously successful, so I don't have to be mean about, you know, holding the information back. I'll be there for you. Just, you know, just decide what you want and ask.
Thank you again, Johnny. It's always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure to see you.
Take care, guys.
And I guess we can now let you go
Get some sleep.
get up early for your courses that you have there. And believe me, you will get one-on-one help in the 5-day Accelerator course because he has other people who are in the chat with you as you're responding to everything to Johnny. And they give you constructive criticism and they help you proceed.
Cool. Bye, guys. Take care.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny.
Take care, be well. So everybody, please stay on. We have more announcements. Thank you. So I wanted to announce to everyone, first of all, I'm Leora Gill. I forgot to introduce myself at the very beginning. I am the executive chair of the New York chapter, and we have Joyce Gibney on here also. And if you have any questions, you can contact either one of us, especially for the job club. We now have openings in all the job clubs. So in all the different areas in the New York greater area. So if you are interested in a job club, please contact Joyce Gibney. I did put her information in the chat. You will also find it on the Fang website. And if you have any questions about the Fang website, please contact Joyce, and she's always available to help you, and you can network with other people in the Fang. So please utilize that. And I think I will have a speaker come in specifically about networking, because we really need you to network more. This is the purpose of this group, so that you can network with other Fang members so that it'll help you get your next role. And next month we have coming up also Pat Rumboletti. For those of you who do not know her, she was also a recruiter, and now she is a job coach. So she's also been on both sides of it. She has her program every Thursday night from 7:45 to almost 9:30, and she has had between 600 to 800 people every week on her program. So she will be joining us. She was here last time we had a Zoom, and she is going to do part 2 in the future. So we look forward to that. That's coming up next month. And I'm sorry, Joyce, you had something that you want to say as well?
No, you said it. You covered it.
Okay. Okay, and we also have Jeff Morris here from Texas. So if there's anything else, any topic that you feel that you're not strong about, you can also join one of his Zooms and he will help you out. That's also a free program. Any other questions for any of us? I hope that everybody did save the chat. Again, you have the 3 dots that you have to press on, and then you just say save the chat. And then when you come out of it, you will see a document. You can copy and paste that into a Word document, or you can save it in other ways. You'll see it. Probably the easiest way for everyone is to copy and paste everything on there onto a Word document, and that's the best format. Any other questions? Again, please remember, if you need a job club to help you with accountability, to move forward, to know what to do next, you can join the job clubs. We have them in New York, we have them in Westchester, we have them in Long Island, we have them in New Jersey. They're all scattered throughout. They're all on Zoom right now. So even if you're not in that area and you're looking for a job in that area, you can go ahead and join that Zoom for that chapter of the job club. But remember, once you're in a job club, you have to stick to that one job club. Any other questions? Any comments? Any suggestions? We are also looking for more volunteers for the FANG right now, and it's something that you can put on your resume and on your LinkedIn. It's something that they do look for, to see that you have been doing volunteer work, especially if you have a gap on your resume. You can put down that what you were doing and the different tasks to show that you were still involved, and you were still involved with people in your industry. So right now, there is an opening for a co-chair in the New York chapter to work with me. So if anyone is interested, please let me know or let Joyce know. We're happy to have another volunteer work with me, and in other parts of the FANG, maybe with the job club. But right now, the biggest opening we have is to be a co-chair on the FANG chapter. And it's something that I do have on my LinkedIn. It is something that I do mention on my resume, and I've had recruiters actually ask me extensively about it, and I do tell them it's a not-for-profit, it is a non-paying role, yet they have many questions about it